Alright, welcome back to Bit Heroes Explained. As advertised, I've finally got my main account on the videos, and the reason I've done that is because I want to show some of the endgame content. Currently, it's early 2019, and there are 6 raids, so there's 9 tiers, but there are 6 raids in the game. This is raid 5, I'll probably do a video for that after this, and this is raid 6. And this is where a lot of players get stuck. So I'm going to take some time and just kind of jump in here, give some information, and help people get through this a lot better. A lot of people will kind of rely on the team stats and really focus on here getting the highest team stats they can, when you can actually do a lot with less team stats. For example, I could switch people around and get up to 22.5 or 22.6 and increase the team stats, or I could mess around with the different compositions and have a better chance at performing. So again, it's not all about team stats. The composition of the raids really matter when you get to end game and you start to slow down. I am showing off again the main account over here, but I'm also showing off the browser. So if you want to play on PC, you can play on Steam, and that's what I've got over here. This is the Steam browser. If you want to play 2 characters at the same time, you can also play either on the Congregate application. They've got their own program where you can play there, or you can play right in your browser with Chrome. You just have to enable Flash, and you are good to go. I can't get the sound working, so not a big loss, but and I'm not going to really put a lot of effort into it, but yeah, sound's not going on, so you're going to miss out on that sweet, sweet retro music. If you do log into a new browser, you definitely want to take a second and scroll through, all these new settings, because they will be back to default. Since we are going through endgame content, you definitely want to disable autopilot when someone dies, otherwise your team can just go down in a blink of an eye. Ignore boss means that if you are auto running, that you will do everything you can to avoid the boss and not aggro them until you choose to. There's about a 1 in 100 chance that your group will accidentally aggro it anyways, so heads up for that. Ignoring shrines. If you are able to auto run, I say turn this off because you don't need a shrine anyway. If you are not able to auto run, I'd still say turn this off so that you're ignoring, because you want to save your shrine before you engage the boss. So that's why I've got these checked. Everything else, not really worried about it. Pretty good. For this, I want to try to get a speed run in, and so I'm going to take off the battle animations. That's when the characters move around and hit each other. It is going to cut your raid time in half, and since I'm not going to full auto this raid, because I'm going to talk about the different attacks, I want to kind of speed it up where I can, so I will have the battle off. But that'll pretty much do it. Merchants are crap, so there you go. So let's jump right into it. So Center Town, you can go over here. You can access it through this one, or you can actually go up into your guild hall. And if your guild hall is cool, you can access raids right through here as well. So getting some style points. We're going to Mallowdale. We're going to, defeat the cloud people. And here we go. So if you're right around 1800 on team stats, you should be able to get through hard, probably on auto, and then around heroic you start looking for 2000 or more team stats. And of course, with any raid, you can bring along a bunch of friends for a party of 5 total. You do have these multipliers here, so all of the bonuses will be added together. Everything other than these bonuses are additive, so they add together, and then it's multiplied by this, so you're getting 5 times as much item find. And heroic, all difficulties can drop legendary gear. Only heroic can drop the set and can drop the mythic gear. So that's good to know as well. If you cannot beat the boss on heroic at least 9 times out of 10, you should actually go back to hard, because you're missing out on loot, you're missing out on experience, because the experience is the same across all the dungeons, but if you're not killing that final boss, you're missing a good chunk there. So for me, I would say if you cannot clear it 9 times out of 10, drop back to hard or change your strategy in some way. So most common way to get through this is 2 tanks in the front and a tank in the back, with 2 DPSs in these safer slots here. The attacks that you'll experience, they can hit the front, they can hit the front 2, they can hit the tank with the most stamina, they can hit the enemy with the least stamina, or they can just do a random hit to anyone. So that's why this composition works out, and we're actually going to take a second and go in and take a look at that. I've run this dungeon enough that I actually have I've found the fusions, So we're going to look over here and I can show you in-game what it looks like. These are the familiars that we're going to fight when we get in here. If you persuade this guy, you're actually going to be rewarded with this. So you'll notice the differences. This guy looks like a rain cloud, this guy does not. If you persuade, you'll get this guy. And you're probably going to run this dungeon enough that I would not suggest buying any of these guys with gems. And I'll talk maybe a little bit about the fusions while we're in there. But you'll run this dungeon so much because it's endgame content and it's the highest level you can do anyways, that you're going to get a bunch of these regardless, and their fusions aren't that important anyways. But that said, you'll persuade this guy, but you'll actually fight this guy. And you'll see he's got an empower chance, so that's a chance to do double damage. And then the first attack against you per battle is deflected. So these guys, get a good look at him. He's got this little kind of balancing thing going on. The first attack against him is deflected, so if you send a giant attack to knock this guy out real quick, it will be deflected, and you can one-shot yourself, or if a tank redirects that shot, you can actually one-shot your tank if your damage is high enough. So we're going to do some things to help deal with that, but the most important thing to think about is the first attack against this guy per battle is deflected. As far as his skills, you don't really need to worry about memorizing these. Closest enemy, random enemy, front two enemies. This is why people put 2 tanks in the front, and sometimes you put the strongest stamina tank in the 2nd slot or in the 5th slot, just to kind of, depending on how your team setup works. And then again, he can go to a target enemy. But again, Flunder, he is going to deflect the first attack that he gets. That's a big one. Out here to this guy, again, you're going to capture this one, but this is the one that you're going to fight in there. He's got a big damage bonus here, 15 damage, that hits pretty hard, and then more importantly down here, at full health, 20%. So he's got 20%, he's getting 15% here. This guy is going to do tons of damage, and if you don't deal with him early on, he will chunk people away. I've seen him wreck tanks. Over here, he can hit the closest enemy, the weakest enemy. That's why you have a bait tank, so that's somebody with a ton of defensive damage reduction, but low health. Let's see. Closest enemy and random enemy, so nobody's safe. And you can also notice that this attack might come, because you can see the SP under the guys that you're fighting. If he has 2, there's a chance he can pull this off. If he doesn't have 2, or if he doesn't have any, you know that he's going to do the auto attack, you know he's going to do one of these. So, but it's a lot of information. I'd say just remember that when his damage is, when his health is full, his damage increased by 20 on top of this fat bonus. So keep an eye on him. And then the third guy over here, he's more tanky, so he's got damage reduction. But this one it took a while for people to figure out. When he dies, he revives all of his teammates with a moderate amount of health. So that's around 50% health or so. If you like killing everything twice, you know, that's what you're going to do if you don't remember this. So try to, if you can, knock this guy out first. And his attack's closest enemy, strongest enemy, furthest enemy. And so this kind of explains, again, why that team comp looks the way that it does. If we go into legendaries, the final boss is here. And so he's got a good amount of block. This bonus down here, when he gets to 50%, he does some damage. I've never noticed it. It doesn't seem to really matter, so I'm not worried about it. As far as capturing him, again, you're going to run this dungeon so many times and they release something new. This is early 2019, and we're thinking maybe they'll have something released around February or around March, but that's not just speculation. So you're going to run this a lot, and the fusions that he goes into isn't that great, so if he does pop up, if you don't want to throw gems at him, you're not really losing out. The fusion that all these guys go into, and the only one that's really worth talking about, is Stratos. Stratus is kind of interesting. He is a tank, as you can see here by the damage reduction, the absorb chance, but he's got super low stamina. So a lot of people say, oh, he's useless, can't use him. Well, his stamina is low enough that he can actually serve as a bait tank if you choose to use him. It's not that popular. If you have damage familiars or you're a damage character, you can boost their stamina by stabling or by doing different things to just above him. So if there are attacks that attack the weakest health person in the group, they will go to this guy. I'm only making him because I've just gotten all the other fusions anyways, and there's nothing else to do with the dewdrops, which is a currency that you get in the game. So you'll see dewdrops, and it takes about 2,000 raids to get enough dewdrops to make this guy. So something to do. It would probably be wise if I waited until new content came out to see if those dewdrops went into anything else, but I don't care. I'm not that patient, whatever. If it bites me in the butt, it does. And these are the dewdrops I was talking about. So those are all the familiars in here. I'm going to try to keep the video short, even though I've been talking for a considerable period of time, and just hop right in here. So you do need to know your team, and you need to know what their skills are. So I've got 2 tanks in the front, and I've got myself as a bait in the back. This bait should actually be around 10k health, but I was doing some solo content, and I want to see if I can get away with not doing that. I would suggest getting to 10k, getting to 1,000 health, or 1,000 stamina. This is quite low, and this might actually bite me in the butt, but, you know, we're going to do it anyways. And here, this is quite low. I would prefer him being around 1,600 and having the 1,600 in the front and the 18 in the second slot. This guy's going to be under a lot of pressure here, but we're going to see if we can make it work anyways. Hopefully RNG works out for us. So again, my suggestion would be something like 1,400 or 1,600 stamina in the front, 1,600 or 1,800 stamina here or here, and then having your bait character here. One thing that's helping me a ton is these guys run the oblit set, and so you see teammates behind you take 5% reduced damage, teammates behind you deal increased damage, so that's helping a ton. And then of course, don't forget about the 4th bonus, 15% damage reduction while all teammates are alive. So if my bait gets wrecked or one of my DPS characters get wrecked, all of my oblit tanks lose 15% damage reduction, so that's massive. I got to keep everybody alive. You want to take a look at the pets. So you want a good mix of heal and shielding. So this guy is heal. Runes through here. Oh my God, he doesn't have a redirect on. Okay, I didn't notice that. I've been able to be successful with him previously, but you do want 2 or 3 redirect runes in here. We're going to see if that bites me in the butt. It definitely could. But, you know, whatever. I had a couple of guys in my team change gear recently, so it has shaken things up a little bit, but I still think we can be successful what we have. Over here, again, I would like this position to have more stamina, but I'm just going to roll with what I have. Apparently he was doing some solo content and he was baiting. But Oblit is such a strong set that I do expect that we'll do pretty well with this. Other slots, actually I'll go through myself last. So if you're a defensive character, if you want to be a bait, that's a pretty good spot to put yourself, because usually you're going to be a lot weaker than all the other people in your group because you're getting help. So bait's an okay position, or DPS is an okay position. Again, if you're a bait and you're in raid 10, you really want to try to aim around 1,000 stamina, and that'll give you 10k health. I think I'm going to get away with this because I've got some pretty decent bonuses going on here, but I've also got 2 oblit tanks in the front, so that's going to give me extra 5 and 5% damage reduction, so that should help me squeak through. I've got some decent gear over here. These are like top 3 or so, maybe top 5 or so as far as accessory and pets go. My enchants are okay, my runes are very questionable, and I don't have a redirect on him, so my DPSs are a little bit more in danger here. But since he's low health, he's already baiting, he's already doing last slot, and he's already susceptible to random attacks. That's probably enough for him to handle anyways. And please, good God, have a... Okay, so we have at least 1 soul rune. You really want 2 or 3, but it's kind of good for me to show you what you can do with a... a suboptimal group, I guess I could say. And then looking here in Vargo, so you got a ton of stats. I have a heal pet. I have a heal and shield team pet. I've got another heal and shield team pet. I've got another heal pet, and then I'm shielding over here. So I've got a good mix. It's nice to have 1 damage pet because one of the monsters we talked about does more damage when it's at full health, but there's other ways to get through it. I've got a mix of weapons here. So we've got staff, gun, bow, and I think most importantly, we've got a sword in here. And sword is going to be really, really good for a couple reasons later on, because I can attack multiple enemies and I can do target attacks. So hopefully we'll make that work out for us. I know this has been a lot in one video, so I'm actually going to stop it here and then we'll jump into part 2 and actually get in there. So trying to keep the videos bite-sized, and we'll see you in the next one.